Many retirees, Social Security is essential income to cover living expenses. Officials with AARP, which used to be known as the American Association of Retired Persons, say within the next 10 years, if changes aren't made, benefits could be cut by as much as 20%. AARP state officials from Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota hosted a tri-state Social Security forum this afternoon in Sioux City. Speakers offered perspectives on the status of Social Security and what needs to be done to ensure its future.
Generations need to know, just like we did when we were younger, that as we're paying into Social Security, that it would be there for us. It is an essential safety net, and so I think it's just critical that younger generations can benefit from what we're now benefiting from, that they've paid into this, to Social Security, and that it can be there for them.
Some suggested changes include having initial benefits increase with inflation rather than being indexed to grow with wages, or adjusting the age of eligibility with increases in life expectancy.
What is a generationally fair way to provide these benefits, to provide poverty protection for older Americans, and what is affordable also for the next generation to pay, so that they also have still funds to start their own families, build businesses, and provide for their own communities.
AARP says, as a group, it will continue to urge Congress to come together and create bipartisan solutions for Social Security.